What's up, everybody? Welcome to another live episode of Strong Style here, but happening back to back on a Friday and Saturday morning, at least where I'm at Saturday morning here at 9 a.m. PT, 12 p.m. ET over there, having some fun talking some Strong Style today. We're going to jump in all kinds of professional wrestling news, recovering from our interview with Tony Khan yesterday. We're going to talk about so many things that are going on this week, and that interview, we're going to recap it a little bit as well. But I'm one of your hosts. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by these two gentlemen here. Aaron Turner, how are you?
Khan! Yeah, we had a great interview with Tony Khan yesterday. Check it out. Ready to roll, man. Ready to roll.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into. Chris Burns coming to us. What's up, Chris?
Hanging in there, man. Strong Style was all elite yesterday. Excited about it. Let's do it.
How's that go? Does it go AEW? Is that how you do it?
I don't think they have a hand signal.
I've never seen, just messing around with it. But yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. Certainly hearing about, talking about what Tony Khan kind of prefaced and previewed. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the news that Triple H has announced his retirement. We're going to get into a little bit of a mini review for the new series on Peacock from the WWE Evil. We're also going to recap WWE Raw, a little bit of Smackdown and Dynamite and Rampage conversations as well. And as we get into the show, please remember Streamlabs and SuperChats are open. Send in your support for the show through the Streamlabs address is right above Aaron's head. I'm going to pin it in the chat as well, or send it in through Super Chat form. Appreciate everybody who sent in Streamlabs and Super Chats yesterday. Sorry we missed out on a couple of those because Tony had to go, but we appreciate it madly. That's why it always behooves you to get them in early so you can get them answered early before we got to get on out of here. All right, Aaron Turner, take us into our first topic. What are we doing?
Well, let's just recap a little bit of the interview that we had yesterday with Mr. Tony Khan, the co-owner of All Elite Wrestling, the co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, co-owner of Fulham FC, the owner of Ring of Honor Wrestling. It went for about almost an hour yesterday. So
just about.
Gave us a lot of his time. He was late for an important business call because he wanted to answer our questions. And we really appreciate that. Found out some interesting tidbits. Some stuff about Deonna Purrazzo and Ring of Honor. We found out some stuff about a possible new women's signing, which I think was a bit of a hoodwink, but we'll get there. But good talking to Tony. I had interviewed Tony the first day that AEW was like a real thing, like the first press conference in Jacksonville. He was at the press scrum and he was giving everybody about 2 minutes. So I had a 2-minute interview with Tony Khan like 3 years ago. So good to talk to him again. A lot has changed in those 3 years, a lot with All Elite Wrestling. And hopefully this, it was a good thing for the show, of course. And it was a good thing for our brand, I guess. And Tony was very gracious and very cool and very nice. And even my own mother reached out to me and said, I don't know what you guys were talking about, but I watched it. But it seemed like you guys knew what you were talking about. So that's all that matters. So just good all around, man. Appreciated Tony's time.
Yeah. It was a great interview, and he gave us a lot of information. He talked about Aaron and Chris about how this is the strongest the roster has ever been in AEW. He talked about the veterans coming in and mixed in with the up and comers that they've been kind of grooming there at AEW. Talked about the last 3 pay-per-views doing so well for them, higher numbers. Kind of getting back on track with things. Teasing what he's going to that he's been focusing on the women's division. I think he hears the criticism, and how can you not? So he's trying to address it. Said he was going to tease someone last night on Rampage, but of course that ended up being a tease to tune into Dynamite. So we'll see how long that strings out. But he was so willing to give us great information, great answers, very detailed answers. You can tell the man's a fan of wrestling, and the man's a fan of AEW, really wants it to succeed. And you hear all this stuff, all this buzz, all this conversation online, social media, all these people casting aspersions on Tony Khan. And I walked away from the interview even more convinced that this guy is going to accomplish exactly what he wants to accomplish, and did say when I asked him that he was ahead of the 5-year plan that he had laid out when he first started out. As Aaron mentioned here, when you first interviewed him, he had a 5-year plan, and he's ahead of that 5-year plan. So, Chris, what did you take away from this interview that you kind of, because you know him, you've talked with him, you're probably riding on his jet to Vegas at some point. What did you think about the interview yesterday with Tony?
Just how passionate he is about all this stuff, man. He is. It's not surprising that he's well ahead of his 5-year plan that he kind of laid out for the company. I mean, we thought at one point CM Punk was never coming back to pro wrestling. And it would take a guy with that kind of passion, with that kind of like exuberance, that kind of excitement for pro wrestling to awaken it back. And a guy like CM Punk, who had been so soured by the business, and then just kind of his approach. You know, I loved his answer to the question that I asked about, you know, does he have his version of WrestleMania in his mind? Because you know, fans are always like thinking, well, what's the big one? You know, is it Double or Nothing? Is it Revolution? Is it All Out? What is it? And for him to say, no, to keep our product exciting, it's not all about leading up to this one thing, which I think WWE does a lot of times, where it's like, well, when we get to Mania, you know, things will pick up. No. He goes by quarters, where every 4 months or so, something crazy, you know what I mean? You can kind of expect something wild to happen leading up to a big event. And I love that. I absolutely love that. It does kind of keep a consistency about the product. And, you know, as I compare, I know it's a little bit off in terms of inflation and all that, but if you compare the first few years of the World Wrestling Federation, even in the modern era, to the first few years of AEW, their growth is incredible. It's ridiculous. Like the market share that they've been able to take from WWE, the amount of the sort of talent and level of talent that they've been able to sign, and the fact that they have purchased another promotion already. Like, how many years did it take for WWE to really? I mean, I know they took the territories kind of out of business and bought some, you know, video libraries and things like that. But like, to have two running, operating promotions that are still relevant, you know, under one house, and having enough talent to fill it. You know, when Vince bought WCW, most of the best talent weren't available. You know what I mean? They just had it home for the longest time and brought him in later. But no, he's got a real opportunity. And to Aaron's question during the interview, you know, Deonna Purrazzo sitting right there. You know, Grisham is sitting right there. Like, they're all still active and ready to go. So a lot of exciting things can happen, and he's just an extraordinary guy.
Yeah, you know, what Chris brings up here and is something we should definitely touch on. It you asked about the Ring of Honor stuff as well, and what he's going to do with it. And yes, the Deonna Purrazzo question, which was great, but I mean, he also kind of revealed that he's got plans for this super card of honor that's coming up here, and that the card is not officially locked down just yet, that there might be more to come here. What did you take away from some of his comments about how he's approaching Ring of Honor?
Well, I think part of it is, like we said, there's going to be fresh eyes on it. And what I mean by that is maybe people that didn't like, I would like to think that maybe the hardcore Ring of Honor audience is not all of the AEW audience. And I like to think that all the AEW audience is not all of wrestling fans. So I think what Tony has done is he's generated enough buzz in a short period of time with this super card of honor that we could see a lot of people tuning in. Like I'm going to tune in. Like, if you would have said, like, if before Tony Khan bought it, was I going to tune into Super Card of Honor? No, I was not. So now it's just got all this different buzz to it. And I think when he says, oh, like, this is a thing, we're going to do weekly television, we just don't know where it's going to live yet, or I can't tell you where it's going to live yet. So it's good, because we know that something's coming after. If it was, okay, we're going to do the Super Card of Honor, and then we're going to, let's just use this as an example. We're going to do Super Card of Honor, and then next Thursday, when we do the weekly television, we're going to call it Ring of Honor 2.0. Right. And we're going to make it all colorful. And it's like, no, I don't want that. So it doesn't look like that's what we're going to get. So it's good to know that there's a plan in place behind it, so I can actually get into the product, into the show. Plus, he's giving me stuff that I want. Like, before he bought it, would we have got FTR and the Briscoes? I don't think so. I think we've had to wait a little bit longer. So I'm glad that we're getting that. That's going to be good. And you got Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty, which is something that we probably also wouldn't have got, since Jay Lethal is an AEW contracted talent, as well as Lee Moriarty. So I think what he said, that you're in for some surprises. I mean, look who he's got in the stable. He's got those Ring of Honor stalwarts: Punk, Danielson. You know, could we see Samoa Joe pop up? He's free. So, I mean, you never know who's going to pop up. You never know who's going to show up, and he's always got tricks up his sleeve. Yeah. And listen, when we talked about it, we want to give a shout out to a lot of these websites that covered our stuff and carried our stuff and you know, linked back to us, which was really great.
for this interview because Tony dropped a lot of nice nuggets for us. And listen, it's the first time we had him on the show. So it was very kind of him to come on, very kind of him to kind of reveal some stuff and respond to our questions. And certainly shout out to places like Fightful and Cage Side Seats and comicbook.com and a number of other places, 411 Mania, who kind of cited our conversation with him. And one of the things he talked about was this women's division star. You said we let's swing on back to that here, Aaron and Chris. Chris, I mean, you look at this, that there's a number of women who are roaming around out there. Could he be talking about Athena, Taya Valkyrie, who's I know is a favorite of Aaron Turner's there. Nixon Newell, I mentioned the Tony Storm possibility. Maya Yim. There's a number of people that they've got roaming around out here in terms of women who are working independently or kind of doing their own things on OnlyFans and just kind of roaming through in the jungle right now that he could go and get and bring into the AEW family here. Where do you anticipate he's going to go? Do you have any guesses with any of the women I mentioned, or maybe some other female wrestlers that might be out there that he might be bringing in? Or is Deonna Purrazzo the one he's bringing in, kind of hinting at the fact that she's got the belt? He's got to work something out to bring her into the fold here. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to be the one he signs, Chris?
2 words. You ready for this, Aaron? Nia Jax, baby. Oh! Let's go. Let's get it. No, I'm just kidding. No. I mean, if I had to guess,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like Tony Storm's the right bet, right? I feel like it's just a weird coincidence. You know, a lot of people are kind of feeling, and we can get into it about, in our interview, Tony was like, well, you should tune in to Rampage to find out, you know, more information about this new female signing. And what it was, well, watch Dynamite and you'll find out who it is. I'd imagine that they had to stall because that Wednesday is when Tony's 90-day non-compete clause is done.
Okay.
And she's available. So it just kind of makes all the sense in the world. Also, yes, she just launched the OnlyFans. In speaking of hoodwinked, you know, but it's like, yeah, she's still visible. She's still out there. It's clearly she still wants to work. So yeah, she just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I mean, a young wrestler that certainly realized most of her potential in her WWE run, but there's certainly more to explore here with Tony Storm. And you talk about hoodwink, and maybe that's why. Maybe she only released that one picture. It wasn't even it's a non-nude picture, because she might be in talks and negotiations. And maybe there was a conversation, hey, if you release some full nude pictures of you, it's going to make it more difficult to bring you into AEW. Maybe that was a part of this negotiation. Maybe that's why it didn't quite pop off as big as people were hoping. Listen, I'm speculating, right? I don't know. And so that could be a possibility that kind of leads you to think that maybe Tony Storm is the choice. Plus, it's another international star to bring into AEW that I think would help its roster overall as a talent. Immediately seeing her against Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa or Jade Cargill or even Layla Hirsch or Statlander, I get excited thinking about the possibilities here with Tony Storm. And I think she'd get the right push. She'd have the right people behind her. And you'd have someone, Tony Khan, who can let her breathe and do what she wants to do and not literally put pie on her face to embarrass her at the expense of someone who has been around there and is a lifer in the company now, it seems like, with Charlotte Flair. What do you think, Aaron? Is Tony Storm your odds-on choice here, or do you think someone else might be appearing here soon in the AEW women's division?
Well, I think if you want to make the biggest splash and make the biggest headlines, you get Tony Storm, of course, because the way she left the WWE, of course, she's I'm out. And then she's in AEW, huge, you know, she's a huge star in my eyes, you know, internationally known. And I think it would be huge. I think that a lot of people are wanting Athena, aka Ember Moon.
Oh yeah.
I think you will still get that, but I think what's going to happen is Tony hinted at it. They've said it for weeks that Jade wants her 30th opponent to be somebody like big, and I think that's when you'll get her. She will be Jade's 30th opponent because she is a big name. You know, I like Ember Moon a lot. Of course, she comes from reality of wrestling. Booker T trained her. So she, you know, she's good and seasoned, and she's, you know, former NXT Women's Champion, NXT Tag Team Champion. Got majorly screwed on the main roster. Should have beaten Bayley for the title at SummerSlam, but I digress.
Yeah.
Got hurt, went back to NXT, yada, yada. But yeah, I think that's the biggest splash is Toni Storm, but I think you will get Athena eventually.
Yeah. I mean, but it seems odd. I don't know what you think, guys, but like, if you're an up-and-comer, you're an established wrestler, why do you want to be rolling into AEW to be fed to Cargill for her 30th victory? I think that would, and me as my ego and my professional ego would have an issue bringing me in just to lose to your champion. That seems odd to me on so many levels. Now, if I'm going to beat her, non-title maybe or whatever, that could make sense, but this seems odd to bring someone in like Athena or like Toni Storm to be served up to Cargill. Do you think either of them would remotely take that on?
Well, I mean, this is an opportunity to use the time limit draw to your advantage.
Good points.
The same way they did with, Bryan Danielson in a couple matches where it's like, right. Oh no, nobody lost. The champ didn't win, the champ didn't get beat, and then you set something up for the future. Like it's definitely a good way to get somebody instantly over. It's Vision picking up Thor's hammer. Like he's on par, but not better. You know what I mean? It's so there's a lot to do there. And as we were talking about it, does it have to be someone contemporary? I mean,
who do you think?
Does Trish Stratus have a Legends contract? Is there?
I think she does.
Yeah. Are there people like that are kind of out there in the ether that haven't wrestled in a long time that like Tony's shown that he's not above bringing in legends to do certain things at different times? I mean, we got Sting, we got Jake Roberts, we got Tully Blanchard, we got Arn Anderson, we got all these people, and we're not thinking about maybe some legendary female wrestlers to come back.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Lita could make sense if she if she doesn't have the Legends contract. I can't imagine Stratus going anywhere else but the WWE. I think she ties her brand very strongly to the top company in wrestling right now. Even though AEW is on the ascendancy, no doubt, it's still the WWE that's the top company or seen as the top company. So I think Trish would see it in her own mind as essentially, arguably, the top female wrestler ever. You can take your Fabulous Moolah stuff on out of here. So that could be something that I think would deter her from going to. But Lita is a possibility. I think that's certainly something in play because of her luchador style, her independent movements, her ability to do what she wants to do in the ring. And certainly she didn't look good in that match against Becky overall. She looked a step slow. So bringing her in to be some kind of guide or coach or whatever to set up some storyline with that could be interesting. Paige is out there. Isn't Paige out there? She's under
contract.
Wrestle, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think so.
But also, who's in AEW is Matt and Jeff. Could we see a Team Extreme reunion of the three of them?
Talk about blowing the roof off the place. Jeez.
Come on, that's the Tony Khan moment written all over it.
That's true. Look, if Hayden Christensen come back to Star Wars and be in Kenobi, I think the Team Extreme could come back together. Aaron, what do you think?
Nia Jax. And we laugh, but kind of makes sense. Like for a one-off, not for like a whole thing. Like if you want somebody that's like as big and like as size imposing as Jade, you get Nia Jax. Like
I could see Nia coming in and taking the loss.
Just for a one-off. Like I don't want her like long term, just like a one-off. Here's Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Let Jade get some like cheers for once. I could see that working, but Chris makes a really good point about Legends. As far as Trish goes, I believe Trish has a Legends deal. I could be wrong because they're still making figures of her.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's in the video game, but whatever. But I think she has a deal. I don't know if Lita does or not. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
But somebody like I don't know, like Victoria, Michelle Poole, somebody has a little cachet that may not be under a Legends contract. Something like that could work.
Yeah.
Mickie James, open that forbidden door. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a possibility as well. All right. Anything more on this interview? I think we spent about 20 minutes on it. If you guys want to watch the full interview, the full hour is available on the channel as well, and under the Strong Style playlist. You can certainly watch that interview that we did with him yesterday. As Chris mentioned, almost an hour-long interview, or Aaron mentioned, almost an hour-long interview. So pretty good stuff there with him. And thanks again to Chris Burns for lining up that interview. And hopefully we'll have more AEW talent rolling through the Strong Style doors to have some fun conversations with us in the future. All right, Aaron, let's move on to our next subject here. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember to Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. Send in your questions, thoughts, and comments and support for the show. Where are we off to next year, Aaron?
Man, this was a kick in the bag. So yesterday, Triple H went on First Take and was talking with Stephen A. Smith. And he, of course, Triple H has been out since September with that cardiac event. And we haven't seen him since, just like kind of here or there. He's definitely not been on TV, but we've seen like backstage photos of him like around the office in Stamford, but hasn't made his return. And of course, since then, NXT has changed and all this kind of stuff has changed. Now Shawn Michaels is running it. And Triple H just flat out said when Stephen A asked the question, when we're going to see in the ring again, what's that future like? And Triple H said, as far as in ring, I'm retired. I've got a defibrillator. I don't think anybody wants to see me get shocked back to life in the ring. And he talked about how, man, so Triple H is a larger than life, not only character, but he's like a big guy. Every time I've interacted with him, I've had the opportunity to do it a few times, like a handful of times. He's always been amazing, just like an amazing dude. And to see him talk about his family and like talking about going under when he was having these procedures done and then not knowing if he's going to see them again is just fucking heartbreaking. And just he's this, like I say, he's this larger than life guy and he's just breaking down. He's like breaking down on national television, talking about it like a guy that's always been like a tough guy. And that happened. And it really, it made me feel for him, man. Cause he talked about having like the lung inflammation. He was coughing up blood and he had to go right to the hospital. And, he said that, I forget what exactly he was talking about, but he said like your output should have been 60 and above. And his was at like 32. And then once it got further down the line, it was at like 12. So like Triple H was on death's door. And, we're lucky to have him. We're lucky that he's here. I'm glad that he's, nursing himself back to health, but what a career, what a long-term thing. I'm glad that we got to see Triple H as long as we did and one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. Thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, man. I mean, huge loss and in a lot of ways. I mean, give big gain for Triple H's family, gets to spend more time with them, gets to be around more, less stress of the wrestling business, which is something that they all, need a break from time to time.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, man, he's just given so much, to us as fans, to so many wrestlers. You saw the outpouring of support and gratitude from so many wrestlers, both in WWE and out of WWE, so many fans. I think about, infamously, tearing his hamstring or quadricep in the middle of a match and finishing in a Walls of Jericho on a table. You know what I mean? Like that is commitment. That is, just love of the craft, love of the fans, loving to entertain. And so just nothing but, thanks to Triple H and just appreciate everything about him and everything that he's given to us, through what an amazing career. Like to Aaron's point.
Yeah. What a crazy, crazy career, starting out as he did as the valet of Ted DiBiase, doing what he was doing. Oh, no, sorry. The valet of, who was it again? It was the valet?
He started out in WCW as Terra Ryzing.
Terra Ryzing, baby.
Don't forget about Terra Ryzing.
Yeah, when he came into WWE, though, he was like
he was Sable. Sable was with him. Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
The Connecticut Blue Blood, Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
It was kind of a takeoff of his Jean Pierre, or what was his name? Jean-Paul Levesque in WCW with William Regal. Like they were Blue Bloods there, and it was essentially they just moved it over to WWF and made him Hunter Hurst Helmsley, and that's where Sable got her start and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Watching him do a French accent in WCW is some of the funny. If you have not seen any of John Paul Levesque in WCW, treat yourself. It is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, him wearing that, in essence, the pirate shirt from Seinfeld and him doing the vow and everything. Yeah. What a difference in how things progressed and, being part of the clique and then being one of the founding members of DX and then reestablishing himself as the Game as a singles wrestler and a champion. and so many incredible matches. I mean, you think about the Undertaker matches with him at WrestleMania, just phenomenal match there. And then, all the other ones that he had with Stone Cold or with The Rock, the triple threat matches, the matches with Angle, so many matches throughout the years, and still wrestled occasionally in the back half here of the 2010s, all the way up to 2019 was his last match, I think, with Randy Orton. So many incredible moments. I mean, the stuff with Stephanie, right? And of course, the stuff with China, you can't not talk about that. And certainly their relationship and what was going on there, and the unfortunate ending of that relationship, and how that kind of colored how more committed he was. And then talking about how committed he was to the business, right? Getting there at 5 a.m. in the morning, being part of the board meetings, training and doing this, and then going and then staying later to be a part of more meetings. He definitely. They talk about that term, eat, sleep, breathe wrestling. Certainly Triple H did, and moved his way up the chain to the executive position that he is now. This is his retirement from in-ring work, which is a sad loss for so many of us who enjoyed his matches for so many years. But the other side, because I can't even remember a bad match that Triple H ever did. I can't even remember that, and I don't even know if there is one. And so the other side of it is the executive side. What is the level to which he's going to be doing any work executive-wise for the WWE? This is where I come back to, because is it a stress situation? Is that how deeply is this? How bad is his heart condition? How is it going to affect him, and how he works? And is stress really a massive part of this? And if it is, what job can he possibly do here in the WWE that wouldn't have stress to it, other than being maybe a brand ambassador, going to do charity stuff? Is that a possibility? And down the road, does he become disillusioned with that? And then maybe we hear the game's music as he walks out at an AEW show. I don't know. The door is wide open now, in my mind, for the possibilities now for Triple H and what he can do. Maybe he finds a second career hosting a podcast, or a second career doing some kind of show related to wrestling that isn't too stressful. What do you gentlemen anticipate is next for Triple H in his career? Aaron, I go back to you.
Well, if he wants to do a podcast, I'm sure Conrad's already hit him up about that. But I think we could see him. Someone in the chat said it. Clarissa said it. Recruitment. Like, he could be the guy that recruits the new talent. Like William Regal was a part of the scouting team. So was Triple H for a time.
Right,
so you could see him doing that. Nikita Lyons posted this morning, like, her Las Vegas tryout and her conversation with Triple H, and how much she meant to him. And like a lot of wrestlers have been doing, even from other companies. They were talking about Andrade, was talking about how instrumental Triple H was. Ember Moon, like a lot of people were thanking Triple H for his time. So William Regal as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up being a talent recruiter for the WWE. But also, they're not looking for wrestlers anymore. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So they're looking for entertainers. So I don't know if that maybe fits. I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah. Where do you see him possibly ending up, Chris? What do you see him doing?
Yeah, I mean, that makes it tough. I was going to go down the exact same road. I just don't see a world where Triple H doesn't interact with talent. He loves being one of the boys. He loves developing new stars. He loves putting people in positions to win, giving advice, giving, direction. He loves all that stuff. And then what was so great about his time in NXT, I mean, he was with his buddies. He was with Road Dogg, Shawn Michaels, you know what I mean? And William Regal, like, he was loving life. And so now that sort of infrastructure is gone and it's just, Michaels there, it really puts into question of what makes the most sense for him. And with them not trying to bring in the indie stars that he would sort of scout and recruit and, kind of build around those guys, maybe there just really isn't a place for him in the new sort of era of WWE with Nick Khan and Vince McMahon running the show.
Yeah. Which is just really kind of weird to think about, that there's no place for Triple H. I mean, the guy, he lives this stuff. Mm-hmm. What is the option? Like, there's got to be something. And I hear you with recruitment, but a guy like that who is driven to be the top of everything he does, I don't think he'll be satisfied just being with recruitment. So I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about what's next for him, because as much as we may want to dream about AEW, that would cause so much trouble at home, so much trouble with his father-in-law. it could legitimately lead to a divorce. Like that's really a possibility here in that. So, but yeah, Aaron, what you mentioned earlier, I don't want to go too far away from that too. Watching Triple H get emotional is something I've never seen to this extent. Like that's a dad. That's a dad. That's a man. And all of us have fathers. All of us have, we've seen our strong fathers as they get older start to glimpse the end, and certainly how that changes their approach to things and their emotions. And seeing Triple H kind of do the cough clear to try to compose himself was really surprising. And that showed you how deeply he cares about his family, and also how scared he really was about how close he was to the end. And that's, I think it's a lesson for a lot of people to kind of consider and think about. No matter how strong you are, eventually, things are going to happen, and you got to be willing to roll with them, or be able to roll with them. And it's not easy. So, well, one last thing, favorite Triple H moment in the ring, since he is retired from in-ring work. Gentlemen, do you have one favorite moment? I'll swing back to Chris on this one.
Man, it's so funny. I mean, he's had so many great matches, so many great rivalries. I mean, it feels like every top star that came through WWE had a long history with Triple H. Yeah. And also, unfortunately, a lot of his career was marred by big injuries.
Yes.
But then the upside was the thrill of huge returns.
Yep.
I think somebody in the chat talked about, the 2002, I believe, Raw when he returned.
Yeah.
And then shout out to the 2007 SummerSlam return when the big, we can rebuild him, video.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Comes out.
Yeah.
But for me, I think all things Cactus Jack feud. I just loved his feud with Mick Foley. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where it was like, okay, Dude Love can't get the job done. Mankind can't get the job done.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to come back that can deal with the brutality of Triple H, and it ended up being the return of Cactus Jack and the matches that they had. I loved that feud. I loved it.
Bang bang. Aaron, what do you got?
Man, there's so many. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm just gonna have to give you a few, but like, I like the funnier side of Triple H as well. Like Triple H, the consummate professional, but also not just DX stuff, but like I saw a clip this morning. I watched it like 50 times. Of him and a kid, like there's a kid in the crowd, and Triple H is like poking his finger at him, and the kid's like trying to bite his finger, and Triple H is like, whoa, and then he gets a chair and like pretends to swing it at the kid, and the kid's like doesn't back down, and then Triple H like throws the chair, just gets in the kid's face and walks away. I was like, it's so stupid, like it's so great. The time that Lillian Garcia introduced him to the ring and called him the former world heavyweight champion, and he chased after Lillian Garcia into the crowd, fucking hilarious. The time that Randy Orton, like he jumped off the second rope to come on down on Randy Orton, and Randy Orton just stuck his boot up, and Triple H just sat there for like a minute or two, like just doing this, and then did the Flair flop.
Yeah.
But dude, like you just can't. Like, there's just so much Triple H stuff. You can't boil it down to one moment. The stuff, I mean, of course, the DX stuff. We didn't really even talk about Evolution. Like, Evolution is such an underrated stable. The thumbs down to Randy Orton. I love that. I love that so much. His match with Dave Bautista, not necessarily at WrestleMania 21, but actually Backlash, like the next month. I think it was a cage match. Excellent match. WrestleMania 20 with Benoit and Shawn Michaels. Excellent match. WrestleMania 19 against Booker T. Why couldn't you put Booker T over? I don't know. Why'd you wait 19 seconds to cover him? We won't talk about that. Also, that SummerSlam return, he came back and beat Booker T again. Let's just not talk about it. I don't know what his deal was with Booker. But of course, he will always be known to me as the godfather of NXT proper. And taking NXT to like the heights. The only company that's ever competed in popularity with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown is its own fucking entity, and that was NXT. And if you don't believe me, if you're like, that's ridiculous, go back and watch the Brooklyn takeovers. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so
that's true.
Amazing accomplishment from that guy.
Honorable mention to Triple H's funny side of mid promo one time with the later incarnation of DX of him and Shawn Michaels, pointing out that Kofi Kingston was no longer Jamaican.
Oh my God, that clip has been circulating. That clip has been circulating. So funny. So someone said in the chat, said Katie Vick, we'll just step aside from Katie Vick.
The highlights of the career.
The Stephanie marriage, of course. Like all the just
that whole sequence. I'm telling you, that whole sequence. I mean, the drive-through wedding when he answers for her by turning his face to the other side, at that, just fucking genius. And of course, now that would be really
awful now, yeah.
Right? But at the time, it was funny because, of course, Stephanie's willing and participating in the angle. But it was so funny to see that all play out. And then, of course, in real life, they actually did get together. So, but I can't. To me, the pinnacle is his matches with The Undertaker. They really are the pinnacle for me. And coming out in that King of Kings entrance with the future of the females division of NXT, yeah, with Sasha and was it Charlotte and
Alexa
Bliss. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And those were women that he had his eye on, women that he got kind of picked to become successful, and was, part of, as you said, being the grandfather of NXT. There was a big part of that. So seeing him be a part of that is just incredible. Him turning on Shawn, good God Almighty, that was great. And yeah, the Mankind matches, you're absolutely right, Chris. People don't talk about it. And another thing people don't talk about is the 2-man power trip with him and Austin, and then kicking a bunch of. They were the one team that you've seen super teams get together, and they actually did everything people thought they were going to do. And it was great to watch, to finally see the fruition of that in a 2-man power trip. So I thought that was pretty awesome as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, he just so many great memories, so many great matches, so many great moments in matches. And he will be missed in the ring, but there's plenty of Triple H DVDs or Blu-rays you can buy to relive all his matches. The WWE has always known the commodity they have in Triple H, and maybe egged on by Triple H. And they've released a bunch of stuff to certainly support that and give him his love. So
let me give you one more real quickly to look up. It was a Survivor Series where I think it was DX, Punk, Jeff Hardy, and maybe Matt Hardy, I don't know, against like a bunch of teams. And the match starts, and Shawn Michaels is in first against Mike Knox. And Shawn looks at the referee and is like, "Has the match started?" And the ref's like, "Yeah." So Shawn Michaels just immediately, as the match begins, super kicks Mike Knox and pins him 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Then he looks at Triple H and he walks over to Triple H and goes, "Who was that?" And Triple H is like, "Don't worry about it." It's so funny, man. Like the second iteration of DX was pretty damn funny. I think people think that it kind of sucked, but no, it's great. And the theme, did we talk about the theme music?
Them dressing up as the Horsemen. Oh my God. That whole bit was like, that was incredible to watch. Them putting the concrete into Vince's car, all the things that they were doing, them attacking WCW, the supposed invasion on the tank. And yes, the theme music. Sure. Go ahead, man.
Motorhead, man, the game, time to play the game. And then he got another, when you're tired of that song, guess what? Got another Motorhead song, King Kings. The Evolution had that song. Even before that, Triple H had the My Time. It's also a pretty good, also a good banger. Triple H had some of those iconic themes. I think we'll just skip over the part where DX was in blackface. We'll just skip over that.
That's over it if you fucking mentioned it, Aaron.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's, you got to acknowledge it, like it happened, but let's
don't skip over it. Just
it happened. It happened.
Yeah, I didn't mention that one.
Yeah,
for a reason.
DX and blackface, not great. Not a great memory.
Well,
in hindsight, let's not do that.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Not a good look, but thankfully there's other stuff that you can enjoy here from Triple H for sure, and we'll see what his future brings down the road. We wish him well. Chris Taylor sending some super chats here. Chris Taylor was like, "I'll never forget I was there live for Triple H's return from his first quad injury. That pop he got at MSG will stick with me forever." Wow, shout out to you, Chris, being there at MSG when that happened. A lot of people, as we mentioned that earlier, certainly a huge pop. People love his theme music. I think one of those rare wrestlers that could change theme music, and each one of them were bangers. Like, I don't think he ever had a bad theme song, and he changed multiple times, so pretty incredible stuff. Jaimon John says, at WrestleMania 38, after 19 years, what will be your reaction when that glass shatters, when Austin walks that aisle with that Stone Cold vest? He's just coming out to do a 5-minute thing. He's not coming out to wrestle. I don't want to see him in the vest. I'm happy with him in the shirt and the pants and the jeans and all of that. That's fine for me. Yeah, same way I don't want to see, McGruber now because he looks way too goddamn old. I don't want to see Stone Cold in that vest. That seems out of place. Gentlemen, what's going to be your reaction?
I mean, what do you want from me? It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. If he comes out in the vest and the knee brace and the tights, what am I gonna? I'm gonna pop. It is what it is.
All right.
I get it. He's older, but the guy's in great shape. I thought the same thing about the first time I saw Goldberg come back. Like, is he gonna be like in trunks and stuff? And he looked like a beast. I thought he looked great for his age. You contextualize it, you do what you do, but come on, man. I'm gonna lose my friggin' mind if he comes out in full gear. We haven't seen him in full gear in 11 years, something like that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No,
Aaron?
Well, yeah. I think like the way that they're portraying this is that it's like we're getting like old Stone Cold back. We're not getting like the sheriff riding on the ATV Stone Cold, a funny, happy Stone Cold. We're getting like classic. I could see him coming out in the vest and like jean shorts with the braces and the boots and with the gold chain, and then coming out. He better get on all four corners and do like the thing and start cussing out Kevin Owens, and then like get in his face, stop for a minute in the middle of the ring, and then go to the other one. Like I want that Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like that's who I want to show up. When the glass breaks, it's Texas. It's going to be loud as fuck no matter what. So
yeah.
Ready.
I rewatched the WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan and Rock and Stone Cold, and I mean, Stone Cold got that pop, a bigger pop than all three of them, and it was an incredible opening to a WrestleMania, regardless of Hogan's gaffe there. But it still was cool to see three guys like that, three legends like that in the ring. People will pop for that glass shattering for sure. Papa Squeeze says Triple H had one hell of a career. He was one of my favorite stars in the late 90s when I first started watching WrestleMania 14. Much respect to the game. No respect to Ryback, though. Yeah, did you guys see Ryback's comments? God damn. I mean, no offense. Well, maybe some offense.
Fuck him.
What a stupid thing to fucking say. Gentlemen, thoughts on that?
Yeah, what an idiot. Like, listen, the first person's timeline that I looked at when the news came out was CM Punk. His issues with Triple H run deep and for a long time. He famously, turned down a match with Triple H at WrestleMania because he didn't feel like it was for him, and that it would have done more for Triple H than Punk at the time. Saw it as a demotion, and he had nothing. So if he ain't got nothing nice to say, if you got problems with the guy, now's not the time to speak up. You know what I mean? The guy almost freaking died, almost, abandoned his family, and he kicked out. We're all celebrating here. Like, just show the man respect. If you got nothing to say, nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. What an idiot.
And for those of you who don't know, this is what he said. He said, you ended up being the biggest disappointment for me personally from loving you growing up, but I wish you well in retirement and future good health, Triple H. And then actually tagged Triple H in the tweet, which was it's just poor form. And it gives more credence to the issues people have with Ryback. And he does have a show, and he does have a podcast. So, I get that you have to get clicks, you have to get likes, but there's a place to bring that up. And after a guy goes on ESPN, breaks down or stops himself from fully breaking down, talking about his kids, talking about his life, talking about his near death, that isn't the place to bring your petty anger up and put it on a tweet. That's not the place to do it. Maybe down the road, if he makes a misstep, maybe that's the point you bring up your issues or your experience. But here, as a guy is walking away from the ring, is not the time to do it, especially because Ryback was so pissed at people when they celebrated him leaving professional wrestling. So, there's an irony here, an hypocrisy here from Ryback for him to be the one calling out Triple H. I get it. Sometimes you don't have to meet your heroes. And look, it's the wrestling business. Everybody's not going to fucking like everybody. That's the for lack of a better term, that's the game. You got to deal with that. Bringing up that petty shit makes you look small and him look even bigger. It just didn't have the effect that he thought it was going to have. It was just dumb, So,
roided up, meathead. Fuck him. That's it. Just leave it there.
Yes, sir.
Buried himself.
Buried himself, as he had a tendency to do in the ring. Roberto Arsenal said, if Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara had a triple threat match, who would take the biggest bump? I'm curious to see who Britt Baker will feud with next. I know you guys are down on her, but to me, she's never boring. I am liking Wheeler Yuta more now. Yeah. We saw Jeff Hardy going off
the concession wall or something, whatever the hell that was.
I think Sammy would take the biggest bump because I think Sammy is bigger, so his body can sustain it, and he's younger. So I think Darby being thrown down the stairs was a hell of a bump to take. I don't know about you guys. I've been thrown downstairs. That shit hurts. So shout out to him.
Who the fuck threw you downstairs?
I was bullied when I was younger. It's
dear God.
Don't be a fat bowl hair kid who's Latino in a white area. Country area, you will get your ass kicked. Anyway, let's move past that. Gentlemen, thoughts on that? Who's going to have the bigger pop, and who do you want to see Britt Baker feud, or the bigger bump? Who do you want to see Britt Baker feud with next?
I mean, look, I think Sammy does these ridiculous bumps as just part of his repertoire all the time. Yeah. But Darby strikes me as a hold my beer kind of guy in those scenarios where it's like, oh, you think you just put yourself in danger? I'm going to really up the freaking ante here. And, he's done some nasty stuff with skateboards and thumbtacks and, things that he hasn't brought to AEW yet. You know what I mean? That he did in the Indies. And trust when I tell you of that mix. Jeff doesn't even like to do the Swanton Bomb anymore. Unless it's a televised event. So he's not really looking to really hurt himself like he used to. Like I said, it's a kind of old hat for Sammy. Darby's definitely the one that's going to put his life in danger between the three of those guys, in my opinion.
What do you say there?
I'm with Chris. Like, I saw Darby Allin once at an MLW show in a nightclub. There was two stories, and he was facing Johnny Mundo or John Morrison, and he went up to the second floor where there's a balcony. I don't know how high it was. Pretty fun. I wouldn't do it, but he went up there and was just without hesitation, just jumped off the side, cough and drop from the balcony. There's like 100 people in this building, maybe less. And he was just like, fuck it. Like Darby Allin would outside of dying, he would sharks. He'd probably do that. Like whatever. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to entertain people. So it's got to be Darby.
Small anecdote. The wrestling show I put on at the World Famous Comedy Store, we had Darby Allin and Matt Sydal take on the Lucha Brothers in the main event. You can watch that on YouTube, by the way. And first thing we said, probably shouldn't do a whole lot of top rope stuff because the ceiling is really low. This is a comedy club. There's all kinds of shit up there. Just like, let's not do that. We get in the back to plan what we're going to do in the match. He goes, okay, so when I cough and drop, it's like, no. I just said you probably shouldn't do a whole lot of off. The guy's out of his mind in the best sort of way. So yeah, definitely Darby.
I think Draws hits it. Darby is the Evel Knievel of wrestling. I think that's 100%. For those of you old enough to know that reference, that is absolutely 100% the truth there. All right, there we go. Those are all. Oh yeah, who do you guys want to see Britt Baker feud with next? We'll get to that. I think we'll get to that as we get into the AEW Dynamite stuff. So let's move on here. What do we got here, Aaron? What's next?
We're going to talk about the new series from Peacock and WWE Evil. It has 8 episodes that are all available for streaming. We're only going to talk about the first one because that's a lot to get through, even though I've watched them all. But
wow, you watched them all already, dude?
I did. They're very entertaining. Anyway, so there's 8 episodes available. The one we're going to talk about is Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but also available is Sasha Banks, Randy Orton, Stephanie McMahon, the Brothers of Destruction, Ric Flair, The Miz, and Roman Reigns. Some of the talking heads involved are they actually have a psychiatrist, but then they also have Dr. Phil, just in case. And Jason Blum, from Blumhouse, Snoop Dogg, a lot of people from The Ringer, because they did that Andre the Giant documentary. So they're in there. They got some rappers in there. They got some former WWE writers in there. Of course, like Charlotte Flair talks about Rick and then stuff, so on and so forth. So it's I think what it initially was thought of when this was brought up was that it was going to be a series delving into the psychology of what makes a heel, and it was going to kind of like teach you that whole thing. Yeah, that's not really what it is. What it is like essentially like a mini biography of like a heel run. Yeah. So with Hollywood Hulk Hogan, that's kind of what we got. We got like, here's Hulk Hogan red and yellow. Here is what happened. This is why he turned into Hollywood Hulk Hogan. This is how it worked. So that's what we got in this first episode. What'd you, John? I know you're a big Hulk Hogan fan.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I mean, I loved the first episode. I mean, some of the stuff, you know, if you're a Hulk Hogan fan, you've seen the repeats. But Aaron texted both Chris and I with a surprise from that episode, and a surprise for me too about, we're not going to spoil it, you guys should watch it, about why he chose red and yellow, why he chose those colors, and who influenced him to choose those colors. But I will say this, the conversation with Hogan was really interesting in that I didn't know that he was at a spot there where he was running out of money and he was not doing well. And I know those movies didn't do well and nobody legitimately was watching Thunder in Paradise. I get that, but I didn't know how bad it really was. And for him to feel like I needed to make this change or else I was pretty much cooked. And him saying like, I didn't want Sting to get the rub there. I thought that was really surprising because from what I understand, Sting was still on the fence himself. I thought that's what I heard. So the fact that it was in motion, and that he was even though he had committed to it, he was still kind of on the fence the day of, all the way up almost to the start of the pay-per-view. That's some pretty shocking stuff overall. And I like how they got the different talking heads. I mean, the Slipknot guy really was like, I don't give a shit about that guy.
What?
Yeah, I really don't.
Corey Taylor? Come on.
Whatever. It's like what's his face with the hair? Sam. I don't give a shit about Sam. But David Shoemaker, I like him from The Ringer. I've listened to his podcast. I'm a big fan of David, so I enjoy that he was a part of this. Dr. Phil was a funny person to be jumping up on this as well. But Russo was the surprise. I mean, for me, for them to get Russo to be a part of this is a WWE produced thing. For him to be a part of this, I think was really shocking. I love that they got Bischoff. I know Aaron's not the biggest fan of Bischoff, but I like to hear from Bischoff and I like to hear his point of view. But Russo, I will forever hate that guy. Or not hate. I don't think hate like in terms of like I'd kick him or something like that. More a matter of like, I thought he was terrible. What he did to Hogan was horrible. And maybe there was politics, but don't tell me Vince hasn't played politics. And certainly Eric outing him in that episode as well, kind of out in his politics. But it was nice to relive the NWO for a little bit. It was nice to kind of explore that again and see Hogan's ideas and basing it. Of course, Hogan would base it on Snively Whiplash from a cartoon. And of course, because that's Hogan's thinking, right? He's not as, how can I say this? He's not as like rebellious as people think. He's a mainstream rebellious guy. He's not a really independent wrestler rebellious guy. So that's why, but it worked. It worked for him. And it was nice to see it throughout and relive it. What did you think, Chris, as you're wearing your NWO shirt?
They skipped over the real heel turn of Hulk Hogan, which was captured in a sex tape, where he said nice things about my people. But we don't need to talk about that. I think you guys kind of encapsulated it all, man. It just I'm never gonna turn down an opportunity to kind of relive those days and get some more insight into what was going on in everybody's mind leading up to the formation of NWO. Wouldn't have made any sense at all to have Sting be the third guy. And, the whole basis of the angle was we're sent from New York to destroy this thing. Right. Who knows more about New York than Hulk Hogan? Like that was the angle. So, thankfully he thought the better of it and was convinced to do it and come out as the third man. The only thing I think that was missing was maybe a little insight into Hulk's super early heel run with Freddie Blassie as his manager. Right. The first time he worked for the WWF, Vince's dad. I would have liked to have them sort of include that because just like I talked about with Scott Hall, like when he debuted, the debut was so good, people neglected the fact that he had been the Diamond Stud in WCW prior to that. Right. It would have been interesting for them to kind of talk about that. And even his return as Thunderlips in Rocky III when he was a villainous wrestler. Like, I think that was kind of the only thing that was missing from that.
Yeah, I think WWE just did the revisionist history. Like, oh, that didn't happen. He was never in the character in the AWA. Like a lot of people don't realize he wasn't a part of the WWF when Rocky came out. He wasn't part of it.
Right.
That he sent headshots to Vince McMahon after Rocky had come out.
Yeah.
And him and Classy Freddie Blassie. Then he went back to the AWA and he turned babyface with going on feuding with Nick Bockwinkel and stuff like that. Then he went back to WWF, and then all his history from there. But something I did want to talk about, if I'm not selling you on this episode, like if we're not doing that, you got to check it out for Bash at the Beach when they go back and talk about that, because they show the same footage we've seen fucking billion times.
Yeah.
They show it in different angles.
Yeah.
They show the crowd. They show different members of the crowd. They show I didn't know that Mean Gene had got cut by the trash that was being thrown in the ring. Like Mean Gene's bleeding on his forehead. I never knew that before. And it just shows different parts of it from different angles. I don't know if a different person directed it or shot it differently, because the other episodes are not like that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I was like really surprised that they did. And I thought that made it kind of special that it had all these different camera angles. But yeah, they kind of leave some stuff out, of course, like when Hulk Hogan comes back with the NWO and stuff like that. And him, becoming Mr. America at the end and kind of a shitty run at the end. But a really decent episode on Hulk Hogan. I think if I need to sell you on this, once you get, I think it's episode 4, I think it goes Hogan, Sasha Banks, Miz, Randy Orton. Randy Orton in the first minute of that episode is what I think the show was originally supposed to be. Like he talks about how he gets into character and like how he like walks the way that he walks, and so it's fascinating, honestly, to hear Randy Orton talk about it. And like I think they're all good. Like even the Miz one, which I thought like they just did a doc on him and it was good, but his is good too. Sasha's is really good. She's got a lot of people there talking about her. And then the Kenny Undertaker one's okay. But the one that I'm really liking right now, they did Ric Flair too. The one that I'm missing, though, the one that I think they probably couldn't get because he's with AEW is Jake Roberts. Like, I want to know the psychology of Jake the Snake Roberts, because he, to me, is the most cerebral villain they've ever had in the WWF. So if we're doing a season 2, get Jake.
Well, and if I have a criticism, it's Becky is not in the first season. Becky revolutionized what it was like to be a female heel. I know they got to kiss Stephanie's ass, but it was really Becky who did something incredible with that heel turn and walked that line. And she is a modern heel with social media. She was the first one to do it with social media and understood the power of social media. And I think that would have been really important as maybe a capper for the season. I know Reigns is the capper for the season.
And it's good.
Would have just legitimately had the same kind of strength to have her as a capper of the season, maybe Reigns in the middle of the season and what have you. Because I don't think you need the Brothers of Destruction. I don't think that's a big deal heel-wise to me personally.
That's the one that kind of doesn't fit. Like it's decent, but it doesn't fit.
Yeah, because I mean, those guys have vacillated between both all the time, and they haven't really changed who they are when they're heel or face. Right. It's really that big of a deal. And the other complaint I think I would have, and some people I've seen have an issue with this too, is there's not enough conversation about the psychology of why they do the things they do, of how they construct the promos, of who they, we saw Hogan mention Snively. We see Hogan mention like using the Just for Men, but there's more to the psychology. How are you playing with the crowd? How are you, in a very small way, I did that in the Schmodown. How do I create the heel stuff? How do you know what personal shit to bring up and not bring up? All those kinds of things are really, that would be the fascinating part. And then at that point, you bring in the psychology or psychiatrist and have them add even more of an element about why it appeals to the audience, about why the audience kind of likes a great heel. I mean, The Rock at some point has got to be profiled heel. The Rock was an incredible heel when he was a heel. Stone Cold with the what stuff, you could argue however you feel about it, but people still doing that goddamn chant. So, I mean, there's so much more they can jump into. So, but there's a lot of great episodes in this first season, I imagine. And certainly the profiling a lot of good runs. And I love that Sasha made the first season. I can't wait to watch that episode. I know Miz is the second episode, then Sasha's. I'm looking at the lineup here. But I'm going to maybe skip the Miz one because I've seen enough of the Miz. And I'll watch the Sasha one. And another reason I don't think Miz should be in. Miz already got like an hour and a half documentary. Exactly. Why are we going back to Miz again? It just there are other heels they could have explored, and hopefully they go back in the past to explore some of those great heels as well. I mean, you got Reigns, but I would love to see Captain Lou Albano and the Wild Samoans profiled because they were an incredible tag team heel.
Piper
scared people. Piper, absolutely, for God's sakes.
But what you were talking about, real quick, what you were talking about exploring the psychology in the Sasha Banks episode, she talks about that. She talks about like pulling from these different people and where she got the idea for the boss.
Okay.
So she talks about that, and then again the Randy Orton episode, which I think is my favorite. They have an actual psychologist talking about like his stuff with the military and like how that's kind of influenced his anger issues, and like he funnels that into his character. I think it's the best one. I think Randy Orton's is the best one because you really get insight into him.
Yeah. Chris,
one person who could have their an entire season of Evil. Bobby Heenan and the Heenan family.
Oh my God! Yes,
dude.
You talk about the consummate villain. Don't think was ever a babyface at any point in his career.
No, I don't think
is the catalyst for Hulkamania. He was Nick Bockwinkel's manager. Continued the feud with Hogan all the way through. Was the one who they pointed out in the Hollywood Hogan episode when he came out, asked, well, whose side is he on? While everyone else assumed that he was coming out to save everybody because he's the man. Bobby Heenan was the man.
They even highlight that in the Hogan episode, which that's a great point. All right, we got a couple of super chats came through here. Who do you guys? Oh, anyway, sorry. So WWE Evil is on Peacock now, so go and watch. All the episodes are up, so go and watch them now and enjoy. Orlando Orrego says, who do you guys believe will start off WrestleMania? For me, night one Raw Women title match and night 2 Raw tag title match to start off WrestleMania. Oh wow, gentlemen, thoughts?
I think the smart money is Ronda and Charlotte. I think that night one's either going to be headlined by Bianca Belair and Becky, because that is proving to be the match that people want to see more between the two women's matches,
right?
And or they're going to end with Stone Cold getting beers after he stuns Kevin Owens. So yeah, smart money. I think you're going to hear Ronda's music hit first, and they're going to do that. I mean, if we're not talking about the pre-show, which is where probably the Usos are going to end up
again.
Well, Oogs,
kickoff show champions of the world.
I think I've heard that from what I've read, I think Stone Cold's going on last on night 1.
What?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Okay. I don't know if it's true. And then night 2 is Brock and Roman, of course. But I think you start off with Rollins. Like, I would start it off right. Let's just start it and let's just get it in. Let's get it hot and let's get it going. Because last year's WrestleMania, they started off with the WWE Championship, which was Lashley and McIntyre after the rain delay, which was kind of got it to a slow start. But the match was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
So I think you got to start off hot and start right there with the Cody possibly and the Seth Rollins stuff. And then night 2, you can kind of dial it back. Last year it was The Fiend and Randy Orton, RIP Fiend. And then you can kind of muscle in that. Because I think Charlotte and Ronda is Ronda and Charlotte night 1 or night 2. I don't know.
I'm looking at WWE. They're saying it's night 1.
It's night 1. Okay. Yeah. You got to put some title match there, I would think, but I don't. I guess I would start it with a tag title match. Like, give me something fast paced. Give me something with a lot of juice going into it, I guess.
Unless this Ricochet thing is leading to a ladder match with him and Los Lotharios and maybe a fourth person, that could be something to start off fast paced and insane for night 2. Maybe.
I'm going to steal from both of you, and I'm going to say Charlotte and Ronda start night 1, and I'm going to say Rollins opens night 2, because Rollins coming out complaining and bitching and moaning on the Sunday WrestleMania night right off the bat, and then boom, you bring in Cody. That's how you started hot. and then you have the match. I think that's a way that you can start night 2, really kick it off, and then you can have a little bit of, law of diminishing returns until you get to that final match. So
can we just talk real quick? I know we don't have SmackDown on the run, but can we talk about how Finn Balor and Damian Priest are in the fucking Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal next week on SmackDown? They're not even on fucking WrestleMania. You're telling me
Finn Balor champion.
You got 2 nights of WrestleMania. And last year, Damian Priest was in, I would say, the most entertaining match of WrestleMania Night 1 for sure. With Bad Bunny, it was a fucking great match. And then Finn Balor, who was killing it in NXT as the Prince, then you bring him back. Of course, we knew this was going to happen. You bring him back, he went immediately to the mid-card. You forgot about him. And then now he's the United States champion. And now you forgot about him again. And now the Intercontinental title, which I believe is also going to be defended on SmackDown next week. It's like, what the hell is going on? We have 2 nights of WrestleMania and we're putting titles on SmackDown. It's fucking ridiculous. But the women's tag titles get a WrestleMania spot. Give me a fucking break.
Chris,
fucking break.
I mean, look, Prince Devitt, man, my Bullet Club founder. I'm gonna call you after this. We'll talk. I just can't even. I can't even begin. I don't know why this event still happens.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, it was the whole point is that in the earlier WrestleManias, Andre was in Battle Royals. Now the Battle Royal doesn't even happen at WrestleMania. So why have the stupid Battle Royal? It doesn't have stakes. It doesn't matter if you win it. You don't get anything with that dumb trophy, so don't even do it anymore. It just doesn't work. Give me the gimmick Battle Royal.
Please.
If you're going to do something like that.
Right.
Like, come on, man. We don't need to see a bunch of geeks that aren't going to amount to anything for winning this thing. Can you name one Battle Royal winner that got something because they had won Andre the Giant?
No.
Just don't even do it. Just don't even do it.
I agree. I mean, Cesaro being the first winner got a little bit of prestige as being the first winner.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it didn't lead to, like you were saying, it's not like the All-Star game where they do what in the NBA now, or whatever it is, you get home court advantage, or in the All-Star
baseball.
Yeah, you get home court. That there's stakes, but this is just for fun. And this is just, we got a lot of people on the roster. We might as well throw them into something like this.
Yeah.
And everyone's getting their paycheck, but yeah, Finn Balor to me is the biggest insult. Overall, look, I'm repping Apollo. I thought they did a great job reimagining Apollo, and now they're throwing him into the fucking Battle Royale. It's like, come on, man. There's more to do here. And so for me, seeing all that talent in there, especially Damian Priest, that's just shocking on so many levels. And then Hulk Hogan coming out with that weird comment saying he thinks with the right push, Jinder Mahal could be a new Hulk Hogan. I'm like, Hulk, man, calm down, dude.
Apparently Omas is getting a singles match at Mania.
Yes, he is.
Put him in this thing. Have him throw everybody out, and then now he's a monster. He's scary. He's so tall. He's the Andre the Giant, Battle Royal winner 2022. Do that. Like, I don't need to see him wrestle anybody. Apparently, he's gonna get Lashley too. Oh no.
How hard is this? Scott Hall just passed away. How hard is it to take that Intercontinental title, put it in a fucking ladder, and call it the Scott Hall Invitational Intercontinental Ladder Match? Something. It's not that fucking hard. Yeah. It's like when they had the women's battle royal and they called it the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a bad idea." And then Sensational Sherry went into the hall that year. You should have just pivoted and be like, "Okay, well, it's the Sherry Martel Memorial Battle Royal." It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to see Rhea Ripley on the card. I don't want to see the women's tag title matches because they mean nothing. And I get it. The Intercontinental title doesn't exactly mean anything right now. Neither does the U.S., but we have good people holding them. So it's so stupid.
Fair point.
Same thing with the Warrior Award. Change it to the Shad Gaspard Award.
100%.
We don't need it to represent the Ultimate Warrior. Guy wasn't that great when he was alive. Like, we're just a lot of revisionist history about that guy and a lot of things that he said and was stood for.
Yeah.
Let's, now's the time.
Fair enough. Damon John says, will Lesnar do a shooting star press again at Mania? I don't think so either.
Never.
Yeah. Nope.
He killed himself. Shamir Kelly says, I really love WWE Evil. I've seen the first 4. I really like the Miz episode. I always liked the Miz, but his episode made me understand how much he went through backstage. Also, how Sasha turned heel. All right. Respect. I hope you watch that documentary as well. Then, Shamir, you should watch that because I think that's an even more in-depth exploration of how that all happened and the shit he took and what he had to go through to achieve what he's achieved, for sure. Let's see. We got one more here. So, okay. Let's hit some Streamlabs real quick. Justin Tony says, hi, guys. Great job with the Tony Khan interview yesterday. Thank you, Justin. So it looks like the IC and U.S. titles will not be defended at WrestleMania. This bothers me because it's Mania. All the titles should be defended, especially when you have 2 nights to do the show. Thoughts? I think we just gave you our thoughts on that, Justin, for sure. Thank you very much. He has a couple other ones here. I love Kevin Owens mocking Stone Cold on Raw. Great heat for that. I did not like Thunder Rosa, Vicky Nyla Rose segment on Dynamite. Yeah, Rosa doesn't get to speak at all. And the legal alien joke I thought was not that good. Yeah, there was a moment there where I wanted to address that with Tony, but Tony pretty much answered it in his response to people's in his kind of veiled response to people's criticism about that segment. So there was no point in asking him about it at that point. I texted the guys. I liked Kevin Owens doing the stuff. Do you guys like Kevin Owens doing the stuff with Austin coming out to his music, shocking the fans, and then him coming out? Was that brilliant or no?
Well, it's so funny because that's what we're leading to, the Raw recap. True. So, Chris, take it away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. We talked about briefly. We talked about Triple H doing, the Nation of Domination mocking. This is a staple of pro wrestling. You got legendary figures. You want to take the piss out of them. You dress up as them and you do parodies. We got some great moments out of those when NWO made fun of the Horsemen, and Kevin Nash as Arn Anderson is just fucking comedy. Even older DX doing Vince McMahon and Shane was hilarious.
Yes.
This is just classic stuff. And then for Kevin to add the wrinkle of he pump faked us the same way twice. Yeah. That's not easy to do. He pump fakes us once. We think Austin's coming out. He comes out and then does the, oh shit, I'm about to get my comeuppance pump fake. And it works the exact same way. Yeah, it was a great segment. It's showing again and again why, if anybody was going to bring Steve Austin back for a spot, why Kevin Owens was the right guy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. We'll get to that. Ranger Donald saying thoughts on only 3 names for the Hall of Fame announced a week out. Yeah,
it's very confusing. But we got Vader, and then we got I forgot who. Charmel and Undertaker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like, there's plenty of people that can go in, so I don't know what we're doing here, but I guess people are clamoring next year because I believe we're getting Big Dave Batista next year.
Oh, okay.
People are clamoring for Triple H as well. I think Triple H has kind of deserved to be the headliner of his own class, but
don't go.
Yeah, Undertaker's good. You could have just done that if you're going to do 3.
Yeah. Oh, and Justin had one more here next week on SmackDown. Ricochet defends the IC title and triple threat against Los Lotharios. Why not put that match on Mania? Well, it might end up on Mania, Justin, so we're not sure. Also, the U.S. champ Finn Balor's in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which, as Aaron said, is also not on Mania. It's on SmackDown. Yeah, we covered that. So thanks, Justin. Appreciate the Streamlabs. Appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, keep sending them in here. It's pinned in the chats, in the description of the video, and it's right there above Aaron's head. All right, Aaron, let's keep going here as we're running out of time of the show. What's next?
So we talked about Kevin Owens. I just wanted to throw in there Shawn Michaels making fun of Hulk Hogan. Tremendous. So good.
Of all the people to talk, Shawn Michaels. Yeah.
So good.
Such a nice
so yeah, that happened. We're gonna do a quick Raw recap because I thought the Kevin Owens thing was so funny it had to be in there. Omas defeated Commander Aziz and Apollo Crews in a handicap match. They're really pushing Omas here.
Yeah.
Smart money is that Bobby Lashley will be his opponent for WrestleMania. I kind of wanted to be Goldberg, so we could finally just get rid of Goldberg. But anyway, Natalya and Shayna Baszler defeated Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan in a match that had no consequence. Finn Balor defeated Austin Theory thanks to a Pat McAfee distraction. So Pat McAfee gets a match on WrestleMania, but Finn Balor does not. RK Bro defeated the Alpha Academy, and Seth Rollins at the end of the show goes nuts.
Yeah,
it says bullshit on the air, which hasn't been uttered since Bret the Hitman Hart said it to Vince McMahon. So
wow.
There you go. Seth Rollins saying bullshit live on television. I can't believe it. This is PG. But yeah, that was Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. I don't know. I like I like the opening and the ending. I like Kevin Owens doing his thing. That was hilarious. I love the crowd popping for that music and them going. I love the shots of the crowd. It was so brilliant camera work. And them going, oh my God, we're here. When Austin shows up, we're here. Can you believe it? And it's Kevin Owens. And the boos were so thick with anger. It was brilliant. I would love that and messing with the audience. Enjoy the hell out of that. Yeah, Natalya Baszler, I just don't care about any of that. Finn Balor, sure, fine. And McAfee now gets his match. I'm going to go get food when McAfee's match is on. And RK Bro with the Academy. You know what? I'm loving the Alpha Academy. So them taking a loss here, seeing how they bounce back from that, I'm curious to see. And as I said, Seth Rollins going crazy. You can't have enough Seth Rollins. He's the best, the Monday Night Messiah. I love him to pieces. What did you think, Chris, about Raw? Anything to talk about?
I mean, I remember when they debuted Commander Aziz as the heavy for Apollo Crews, and now he is being destroyed in a handicap match. Yeah. Like, I mean, look, we talk about the confusion of WWE's booking all the time, but just from a very simple getting the most out of your talent, what can you do with Aziz now at this point?
Yeah.
He's believable as nothing anymore. Like, his credibility is completely shot, and he's supposed to be the enforcer for Apollo, who looks even worse because of it. Yeah. You just killed that talent whatsoever. Now they're going to be geeks for the rest of their run. Mm-hmm. After you work so hard to rehab Apollo Crews as a character.
Yeah.
So that's done. Actually, Liv for Destruction, I think is the name of the tag team with her and Ripley.
Something like
growing
that.
On me as a unit. I think they look good together. It's not one of these oddball tag teams like it was for Liv and Nikki Ass. And you know what I mean? And I don't know, like, I know there's like a big underswelling of support for Liv Morgan. She goes kind of in and out of hotness for me, but she's been looking immaculate recently. Not quite Nikita Lyons, but all right. Let's keep this going. Let's see where it goes. Seth Rollins, we're getting Cody. Like, you know what? Just I said it, I think 2 weeks ago. Just do it. I don't need the WrestleMania surprise. Just do it. Yeah. Just have him come out. Like, come on. Everybody knows. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows. Let's do it. So that was Raw for me. It's shocking to me that we only mentioned like 5 segments for a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
2 weeks before WrestleMania. Oh, come on, y'all. What are we doing?
I will say this. I don't disagree with you in that I think the Liv Rhea combo is better than the Rhea Nikki combo. For some reason, the chemistry there feels a little more organic and authentic. So I'm not going to deny that. But the and Natalya, I don't know why Natalya is still in the mix, but whatever. Let's move on. I don't want to say
Natalya needs to go hang out with FTR and the Bret Hart fan club situation over there.
Hey, am I invited? Listen, Natalya is in an episode of Evil, and I just want to say, like, I like Natalya. She's a heart.
I didn't say I don't like Natalya.
Let me finish.
All right, fine.
She looks like that cat lady that got all the plastic surgery. Like, that's what she looks like. Like, the lighting on her is so awful. Anyway, sorry, I don't like to talk about people's looks, but it's just like, what the hell was that? But anyway, so Monday Night Raw, it happened. Liv Morgan, I believe, Chris, that you are correct. Shout out to Bo Dallas. But the thing is, like, Rhea Ripley, like, let's look at like last year. Like, Rhea Ripley is, fighting Asuka for the women's championship. Where's Asuka? I know she's been hurt, but where is she? And then this time last year, Apollo Crews was beating Big E in his hometown for the Intercontinental Championship. So just a year later, we got nothing.
Yeah.
It's sad state of affairs for some people on the card right now.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens in the coming year to their employment on the as opposed to the card. All right, let's keep going here. No new Streamlabs super chats. Keep sending them in, folks. We're about to end the show here in a little bit. So if you want to get your questions, thoughts, or comments addressed or answered, send in the Streamlabs super chat. Now let's move on to the AEW portion of the show here. Aaron, what do we got?
Sorry, Natalia. So we're gonna light the fuse, bring the boom. It's Dynamite. We're gonna talk about the results and what happened on AEW Dynamite. CM Punk tapped out Dax Harwood of FTR, and they actually did a lockup, which was great. Great to see a lockup. The Hardys and Sting and Darby defeated the Butcher, the Blade, and Private Party in a wild brawl. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but we'll talk about it more. Sure. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley defeated the Varsity Blondes via submission, and they have a new name, which I think is called what? Oh, damn! Now I forgot.
Blackpool Combat Club, baby.
That name rules. That name rules. Okay. MJF reiterates that the Pinnacle are still together as Wardlow gets stopped by security and taken away. Adam Cole defeated Jay Lethal with help from Red Dragon. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. Layla Hirsch defeated Red Velvet in a grudge match with help from Chris Statlander. Or not help, but she got beat up by Chris Statlander afterwards. Thunder Rosa and Vicky Guerrero had a segment. And then Daniel Garcia and Chris Jericho, excuse me, I have this wrong, defeated John Silver and Alex Reynolds, not 10 and Alan Angels. So that was Dynamite. What do you think about AEW Dynamite?
Chris, please take it away.
Whew. I mean, just bringing the heat this week. Goodness gracious. I mean, just the first hour of this thing was so effing entertaining. I mean, first of all, again, the little touches of just like Punk being gone to sell how devastating the dog collar match was. Comes back, he takes on a member of the Pinnacle. This is just old school booking. You need to reestablish somebody to get a win, because they've been off TV for a little bit. Have them take on one half of a tag team so that nobody's heat is gone from losing. But then they put on a freaking clinic. I mean,
20 minutes. It was a long match, man.
Yeah. Vertical suplexes, move reversals and counters, and it was just like old school, hard hitting, anything you could have seen from NWA in the 80s, WWE in the early 90s, anything like that. It just like took everyone to school. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Reminded you of how good of a wrestler that Dax Harwood actually is and how FTR actually can be. Even though they've sort of taken a backstage role in AEW as of late, since their Young Bucks feud, I would say. Mm-hmm. Is the Pinnacle still together? So says MJF, but sure. Sure. Again, FTR looking like, they're teasing maybe bringing in Bret Hart as their manager. A lot of sharpshooters happening recently. What else did we get? Sammy and I don't need to. I don't want to hear you guys talk, let alone envision what you guys did with the TNT belt. Goodness gracious. I love tired Sting. I have to say that him lumbering through matches and like being exhausted until someone hits him with a chair.
Hits him in the back, yeah.
I love that. I think it is so fun. Just like, look at this fucking old man, dude. Oh my God, they hit him with a chair. That just got him going. I love it. I absolutely love it. That's going to be a fun match once that finally explodes with Darby and Sting versus the Hardy Boys.
That's so coming. Yeah.
Totally. And I just thought it was a fantastic episode all around. The Thunder Rosa thing, a Guerrero telling a Latin lady to go back to Mexico. Make it make sense. I got nothing on it.
Yeah. As a Latino, I liked that segment. Yeah, but I understand people saying, "Oh my God, they didn't get a chance for Thunder Rosa to speak." I totally get that. I really do. I think that's a legitimate complaint. But this is heel heat, and this is how heel heat is built. And if you think Thunder Rosa didn't know that was part of the angle and agreed to it, she did. And that's part of it. And she knows how to sell a match. And this idea of a Latino telling another, and let me tell you something about the Latino community. There are plenty of Latinos who want immigrants to go back to their country, who are also Latino immigrants. Let me just let you in on some reality within the Latino community. That absolutely is a real thing. So to have someone play that out in the way they did, me as a Latino, and as son of immigrants, I had no fucking problem with it because that's part of the game. And it as long as it's Latinos doing it to Latinos, it stays in that box. Now, if you go to another race doing it, then it becomes, I think, to me, troublesome. It becomes an issue in a different way. And you open the door that you don't want to open a door to. Because if that kind of racism is okay, then every kind of racism should be okay, just to be consistent. So you don't want to do that. But this kind of stuff, I actually didn't have a problem with it. But I did have a problem that Thunder Rosa didn't get to speak. They should have let her have like a couple of sentences or whatever, and then boom, right into that situation. And Vicky is just the perfect person to do it. Vicky Guerrero is the perfect person to do it. So it worked on so many levels for me. Yeah, and look, the Blackpool Combat Club, hell yes. I want that shirt right fucking now. That's a great name. No offense, we didn't bring this up with Tony about naming the factions, but certainly we could have had a nice 15 minutes with him about why are you naming these factions the way they're naming them. But this one worked overall. I thought it was a dynamic, and you're right. The beginning, what you mentioned here, Chris, the beginning match, I didn't know what to expect, and I was thinking to myself, well, Punk can't lose this, but then again, Dax can't really. And how are they? And it just was an old school, technically great match with swings. And the Gun Club, I don't know why the Gun Club was out there. It was weird to have the distraction or whatever, but in the end, Punk getting the win that he needed to get, I thought that was great. Get more of Statlander, thank God. I mentioned that when we were talking with Tony. I want to see more of her be involved in this. I like the Hardy Sting Darby stuff. That was fun to watch. The craziness of him jumping onto from the concession area. I got a weird feeling about the Sammy Tay Conti thing. I got just a crazy feeling, man, that this may in real life end up dragging Sammy down under for a while. And I wonder how that's going to play, to be honest with you. And listen, we've seen this before where people get together with somebody and it just kind of, get together with Kardashian, your career is pretty much over. So, you just never, I don't know if the Tay Conti thing in an indirect way, and they seem to be very much connected, it may in an indirect way affect Sammy and cool Sammy in a way you don't want to see Sammy cooled right now because he's on the ascendancy. So for me overall, that was the thing. And it's great to see Jericho win. I think I like this new iteration of Jericho now in AEW. I want to see more of him building up the Appreciation Society to be successful. So I got no problem. And Adam Cole and Jay Lethal, that was fun. That was a lot of fun to see them locking horns again and having a banger of a match. So overall, a really good Dynamite that I had a lot of fun with. Aaron?
No, I'm just kidding. Right. I wish that, like, in some way, like, the people in the chat and people that watch this and listen to us could see our group chat sometimes, because I remember because when I texted you and Chris, like, on Wednesday during Dynamite, I was like, dude, like, this show's gone off the rails. Like, the Thunder Rosa thing. Listen, John said it. He's, John's Latino. He can do all that, talk about all that stuff. I'm a white man from the coal country of West Virginia, so I can't speak to those issues. But I thought it was a choice. I was like, well, that's interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting thing to do first. Sting and Dax, great. I thought the first hour or so of Dynamite was great, and then we got into the Sammy and Tay Conti stuff, which is like, to me, it's like your buddy that like way overshares stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, man, like me and my girlfriend, like we went out and then like we left the restaurant and then we went in an alley and we just had like sex right there. And I was like, okay, like that's great, man. He's like, yeah. And then you know what? We did it in the car too. And I was like, great. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Yeah. Then we got home. We did it like 3 more times. Like, great. That's great. Like, good for you. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Like, guys, like Tay Conti and Sammy, they're young kids. They're in love. There's a puppy. And it's just, people hate people in love, I guess. I don't know. Let them do whatever they want.
Wait. It's not that they hate him. It's the fact that they're putting it right in your face in the way they're talking about it, Aaron. What are you doing here?
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it, because it's like, okay. I feel like they're pushing it more than I want. I think, I think the internet is taking it more than I want to push it. Like, I don't think it's a big issue. Like, they put it on TV now, so now it's an angle,
right?
Which is great. So we can just hate them on TV. We don't have to hate them in personal life and call them like pieces of shit and say that Ty broke up his relationship. You can stop all that. Now it's on TV. It's fine. Right. But I just want to get past that because I hated it. Like one of the things I wanted to talk about with Tony Khan, and we had this in our group chat, and I don't think Rocha wanted me to talk about it, and that's fine because he didn't think it was relevant. But I'm here to make it relevant.
Go ahead.
And that's that Jay Lethal, the number 3 ranked contender for the AEW Championship, number 3 ranked, 2 TV matches until this Dynamite. This will be his 3rd, and he hasn't won a damn one of them. So how is he the number 3 ranked contender? Because he won some matches on Dark. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, so we go on. The main event, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, the number 2 ranked tag team in AEW against a team that's never been a team, Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia. They fucking lost. So the Dark Order, who's also not on TV's attack, well, on occasion, but like mostly 6-man and 8-man and whatever matches, are somehow John Silver and Alex Reynolds somehow the number 2 ranked contenders when you have the Hardys and all these other teams. Sting and Darby have been winning for months, but they're not in the top ranked team. So the rankings make no sense. They make no sense, and it bothers me because we have rankings in a sport that's predetermined, which is dumb. That makes no sense. But if we are going to have them, as Chris would say, make them make sense, and they don't.
I appreciate you trying to bring Chris to your side. I appreciate what you're trying to do. But I will say this. These are predetermined outcomes. So the rankings don't mean anything other than to get people like you to get upset and argue about them and
it works.
Bring more conversation to it, get social media reactions to it, all of that. Having been a part of a smaller version of this in the Schmodown, Christian Harloff's rankings are ridiculous across the board half the time, but it's always to set up storylines. And that's what these rankings are for, always to set up storylines down the road for who's going to fight who. And people don't care how many times Jay Lethal lost. People know Jay Lethal is a goddamn great wrestler and has won championships in numerous federations.
Got to win sometime.
It doesn't matter where you put him. You can put him up with a shot for the title. So to me, these kinds of things are just used by promoters and by creative who want to create storylines out of them. That's pretty much it. I mean, Goldberg walked in and got the fucking title shot. He would have been ranked 175th because he hadn't fought or wrestled in forever, but they gave him the shot, So, Chris, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, and that it's sort of perfect, right? Because Dark and Elevation exist. You get to kind of do this thing where you can bring up the rankings, to John's point, as narrative tools, not as anything else.
Right.
They're clearly getting ready to do something with Jay Lethal and the Dark Order. Because if you watch Rampage, Jay Lethal did an interview talking about this very thing, about how he hasn't been able to get over the hump since he got to AEW. There's got to be another way, which I would argue is probably their way of introducing Black Machismo, which is, we all know, the best incarnation of Jay Lethal.
Oh, my God.
Because he kept going on about there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be, as he just kept walking away. And I'm like, Black Machismo is the better way, my guy. That's the way to get it done. Same thing with Dark Order. It's like, why are they all of a sudden ranked so high in the tag team division? Then they I was complaining about them in our group chat about how dumb and purposeless they've been ever since, the unfortunate passing of Brody Lee. And it's like, they started out as this like Illuminati, dark hand sort of stable. And they became a bunch of like morons who hang out on being the elite all the time, making jokes and whatnot. Yeah. And then this week again on Rampage, the House of Black destroys Fuego de Sol and then have a face-off with the Dark Order. So it's like, could be one of those storylines where it's like Dark Order's lost its purpose and now needs to get it back as they go face-to-face with the House of Black, because they're kind of similar in, foundational things at least. So, I think that's why the rankings are happening. So it's like, oh, don't forget these guys are around and we're about to do something with them. not to be taken too seriously. I know numbers, math, that should make sense, sure. But also, this is wrestling.
Yeah.
Irish whip doesn't make any physical sense whatsoever.
It sure does.
But we ignore it. So some things you just gotta go with.
I think we talked about on the show before, like the thing that makes that doesn't make any sense at all, that happens every single week, and we just let it go, is the fact that they haven't put together Monday Night Raw yet. Like, it's just, the GM comes out and they're like, it's gonna be Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins in the main event. It's like, dude, you didn't think about that like a week ago? Like, we're booking a damn show
on her job, if that's the case.
We're booking a show on the fly. Like, oh, God, I don't know, dude. Like, listen, to me, it's like Rocky 3, right? Like, Rocky's beating all these tomato cans when he's the champion, and then he's like, he keeps ducking Clubber Lang. Like, that's what's happening on Dark.
Hold on a second. First of all, they weren't tomato cans. They just weren't killers like this guy is.
Oh,
Knocking it tomorrow, Rock.
It was good fighters.
And also, Rocky didn't duck Clubber. He didn't know about Clubber because Mickey was shielding him from Clubber.
Mickey was ducking Clubber for. Well, Clubber said that he was ducking him. Ducking me.
Yeah, you listen to Clubber? Come on.
You ducking me? What you come on with me? Get face of a real man.
Hey, woman.
Are we gonna get Clubber Lang's son in Creed 3? Is that where we're going with this?
Can we talk about that for a second?
No,
Creed 2 sucks. Creed 2 sucks.
You're insane.
Creed 1, Creed 2 sucks. Creed 1, the first Creed, incredible. I think it's the best Rocky movie they've had since
Rocky.
Rocky.
I don't disagree with you.
I think it's a great movie. Creed 2, no sense.
You're insane.
No sense.
Insane. Talk about rankings not matter. Drago's kid gets an immediate shot at the title. Talk about rankings not matter.
In boxing, it's different in boxing. It's about the publicity, right? So
I don't know, but yeah,
Creed 2 is not like Eternals level of bad. I just didn't think it was great.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you kiss Aaron's ass throughout the whole show in the chat. Tell him how much his fire takes are great. He keeps going, and then he finds that one fire take that isn't great, and that's his Creed 2.
People really like Creed 2? I thought it was like, I thought it was forgettable. So.
Mark Ellis calls it one of his favorite Rocky movies ever.
Oh, okay. Great.
You know.
Okay. Guy has a Wake Forest tattoo on his arm. Come on now. Tim Duncan hadn't been there in 30 years, pal.
You know what? Calm it down. They just won the ACC. Never mind. Anyway, all right. What else we got to talk about here before we wrap up the show? We're at the hour.
That's it. Unless you want to talk about the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
No, there's not enough time for that. But I will say this: did you guys watch a little bit of SmackDown? I enjoyed Lesnar going crazy with a chair. That was fucking gorgeous. I mean, he's next level, dude. Right now, I swear to God, it's incredible. Anything Reigns is doing, is doing. Lesnar is matching him toe to toe. It's incredible, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, there was some weird interaction there where I think that Lesnar was supposed to respond to Roman saying something about having that many cars, but he just kept hitting it for whatever reason and it came out. But yeah, I mean, look, they're two of the best in the business. Yeah. I don't understand people who have like had sort of weird feelings about Lesnar in the past. He's the most legitimate person in the company. You always want to look at him. You always want to know what's going on. Reigns is doing the best work of his career that he's been doing forever now. 500 some odd days as world champion? Like,
incredible.
And people aren't upset about it like they were when he was a babyface. That takes a lot of work. So, but also it's the same thing that we talk about. That's the only feud it seems that WWE really, really cares about. Yeah. Earlier in the show, they told us that King Woods was back, and then they acted like it was a surprise when he came out to tag with Kofi in that segment. And then, Happy Corbin, I guess, is going to have some sort of problem now with Madcap Moss. They need to go back to Bum Corbin. That's the best version of his character there ever was. I mean, aside from anything going on with Brock and not liking the taste of champagne, that it was pretty forgettable otherwise as an episode. But yeah.
That's all I talked about was Lesnar. That's all I liked about last night.
Let me posit a couple things to you for next week.
Okay.
Could this be the end for Brock Lesnar? Like, I don't think anybody's really talking about that. Like, what else does Brock Lesnar have to do in the WWE? Like, He's one of the youngest world champions they've ever had. He's been at the top his entire career. Mm-hmm. He's won Royal Rumbles, King of the Rings, all the titles, headlined WrestleManias, beaten like the best in the business, The Rock and Goldberg and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and he's had feuds with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Like, what is left for Brock Lesnar to do? Like, I think this is the biggest match that Brock Lesnar, like box office wise, I think this is going to be the biggest match of both these guys' careers. Mm-hmm. Roman Reigns is going to win, right? Like, I think we all think that Roman Reigns is going to win.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't know what's next for Brock Lesnar. So I want to posit that, like, is it the end? Like, while he's still like in good physical condition, he's not breaking down. Is it the end? And number two, if Roman Reigns doesn't win, I will shave my head live on the air.
Wow.
Hair match. I like it.
I'm putting it on the line. Putting it on the line.
I don't know. I can't choose right now between the two, to be honest with you, because I could see the WWE swerving and having Lesnar win, and then Reigns goes into this kind of isolation for a bit, and Reigns has and Lesnar has a little bit of a run with those two belts, and then Reigns comes back and beats him, and then that's where Lesnar goes away for a while again, like 6 months or whatever. I could see it, but he is so good right now in this cowboy heel or cowboy Lesnar that he's doing. Having him disappear after this match would make no sense, and sliding him down, and that's what it would be, down to start a program with anybody else makes no sense. So winning makes the most sense of those three options. Winning makes the most sense. Or maybe he disappears and does his 6-month thing again, but that would suck because you'd lose some of the best. And I get you want to leave him wanting more, but this is some of the best work Lesnar's ever done. I never thought I'd see a day where he didn't need Heyman on the mic with him. It's incredible. So,
what's interesting? Natalya just recently did an interview, bringing her up twice in an episode. Shocking. But she was talking about Brock Lesnar. And she talked about how recently on Smackdown, he's been sitting in gorilla position, watching all the matches and giving feedback and giving advice and telling people like, this could have been better. This is how you kind of sell this. And it's like complete opposition to the way Brock is sort of positioned. I mean, at least talked about in his relationship to the business. It's always Brock Lesnar just cares about the money. He doesn't give a shit about how he's booked or the art of it, or he doesn't care about wrestling. He just cares about the paycheck. Why would somebody who only cares about the paycheck be doing this? Could there be a future for Brock behind the scenes as a coach? That seems...
Chris, someone is stepping down because of a heart condition.
Yeah.
Is there an opening now where Lesnar slides in to take the Triple H spot? If he's been doing that more than a coach, something more, the executive route, which nobody would have thought possible. Is that in play with Brock Lesnar? I didn't even know that Natalya said that. So that makes me even more shocked and more believing that there's more here to come for him in the WWE after WrestleMania.
Natalya's snitching.
Are you going to say no to Brock if he tells you that you need to fix something in your game?
Well,
right.
But let's also remember that they have an Olympic gold medalist coming in Gable Steveson. So could Brock Lesnar be this guy's mentor? Because remember the last Olympic gold medalist that came to the WWE? He did all right. He was all right. So this guy could be huge. This guy, I mean, I don't know. Like, we'll see. But to have Brock Lesnar like as your coach and in your ear, come on.
Brock for GM? Brock for GM would be insane. Brock Lesnar as a GM angle. He hasn't done that, Aaron. He's never done that.
He hasn't done that. Have Brock as like that Stone Cold type with like an ATV and like drinking beer and like wearing the cowboy hat and all the flannel. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, I could see that.
It would give him more people to play off in the ring as well, both male and female wrestlers getting promo offs or vignettes or back and forth segments in the backstage. It allows him to grow even more as a character and a personality in WWE. I could totally see that. That's a great suggestion, Wrestling's Outsider.
Let me pause it one more thing.
Oh, God damn it. I gotta eat, man. Go ahead. Yeah.
God damn, sorry.
I haven't had breakfast. I'm dying.
If if Roman Reigns does retain, who do you think he's going to match up with first after? Because I think
Rollins. That makes the most sense. They reunite.
I don't think so. I think you go Edge. I think you go Edge because it's a built-in story, and I think that would be a big ticket feud to do Roman and Edge. Either you do it now, right after, or you do it at SummerSlam, because I feel like somewhere down the road we're getting Roman and Drew McIntyre because they're kind of positioning that. Yeah, we'll get Rollins and him again sometime, but I think Edge now or later.
Let me throw another one at you. Who's Edge's opponent? AJ Styles. If AJ Styles defeats Edge and AJ Styles just re-upped, that makes a possibility.
Well, yeah, you would just slide AJ into that spot.
Right? Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I like AJ. And shit, I mean, look, it might be soon, but why not Cody?
Yeah.
Because, and I'll tell you why it can't be Cody, because the first fucking promo Roman does on Cody is going to be like, hey, man, it's a thing on your neck. And then it's dead. It's dead after that because he got him.
And last thing we didn't talk about on AEW, did you guys notice CM Punk signaling for the belt?
Yeah.
And the hangman symbol after his win.
Here we go.
Too soon or what?
No, it's not too soon. I'm surprised it took this long. So if that's really what's happening, yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
If nothing else, CM Punk's going to put him through the paces, and Adam Hangman Page doesn't have trouble having banger matches. I'll tell you that right now because that's what he does. It just doesn't feel like, to me, that he's quite the champion. And I love Hangman. I love Hangman Page.
I know, you're right.
But if he beats CM Punk, he's meant it. Because he's beat Bryan Danielson, he's beaten CM Punk, he's beat the best. Then we get Kenny maybe somewhere down the road, but I still think this stuff with Adam Cole's not quite done.
Until he beats Omega, it's not, to me, it's not cement. It's not cement.
Well, he beat Omega.
Well, I mean, for the, but I mean, win this rematch. Until he does that,
gotcha.
I don't 100% get on. AZ Badfish said, I did 40 minutes of weights and ride at 25 miles on the bike during this show. LOL, good stuff. Yeah, because we've been going on for so long. We got to get out of here. All right. Any thoughts on that, Chris? Are we good to go?
Good to go, baby.
You think he's going to go for the belt?
He's got to. If he's making the symbol, let's press play on it. Let's go.
I mean, they're both faces. How are you going to make this work? But
Punk can go anywhere he wants, whenever he wants.
God, wait for the day him and MJF line up as a tag team. Good night. Good night. All right, let's get on out of here. Thank you all so much for joining us live for this episode of Strong Side. We appreciate it so much. Thanks to Aaron for building the rundown that we use so well during the show. And I don't give him enough love for that, but he has built the rundown for every one of these shows that we do. And I'm going to make sure he gets the credit he deserves. Aaron, where can they find you, man? Everything going on and your new figures. Don't you have a new Jericho one that you were showing?
Yeah, but it's not close to me. But I can show you my new card, which is Tony Storm.
Oh,
Tony Storm. But anyway,
Tony Storm. Nice.
Yes, exactly. Find me on Twitter at Only Aaron Turner, TikTok strong_style live. Also, thank you to the people that bought T-shirts from the TeePublic sale. We had a few. I know Haskell bought one. I appreciate that, Haskell. And I had a couple other people. So thank you for buying the merch. And we'll probably have some more stuff soon and probably hit the Pro Wrestling Tees as well. We'll keep you informed.
Yeah, guys, if you have designs for us, if you want to do some designs, I can't encourage you enough. Start sending them in. You can send them in. If you want to send them on DMs or whatever to me or Aaron or even Chris, feel free to do so. But we are looking for some new designs, some new looks, some new merch we want to sell here through Strong Style. And we'll give you proper credit and all that jazz. So if you want to design something and make it good, I have to stress this, make it good. Then we will absolutely look at putting it up there and having it be something people can wear, and you'll be proud to see that your stuff is being worn by other people, and they'll take pictures and tweet it. Chris Burns, brother, another fun show. Where can they find you?
Find all my personal stuff at Chris_please on all the things, social media, the Instagram for Strong Style at Strong Style Live, starting to get more followers and that sort of stuff. So keep it growing. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And as for me, at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Trying to get to that 25,000 subscribers mark as soon as possible. Hit a like on this video and leave a comment down below. A lot of you watch afterwards. Leave a comment, leave a like, and share it on your social media. That's really important because then you're telling other pro wrestling fans, hey, this is a cool place to come and have some fun with three dudes talking some wrestling. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you next week with another live episode here of Strong Style. Peace.